All right, third period. This is the end of our production schedule. So make sure you have your production schedule out, and I would also recommend that you have a calculator. So if you have not already gotten a calculator, go get one off from my desk. I will have the sub pause the video right now for you to get that and get situated. This column we're going to be adding today is going to be total revenue. So you should have watched the video notes by now on the last two slides. And remember, total revenue we talked about with chapter 4. Now we're talking about it again. Total revenue is going to be how much we totally make from selling our product, or how much we get from buying a product at a particular price. So on the very bottom, I want you to fill in, okay, our total revenue. Oh, not underline. Okay, total revenue is equal to the price times total product. So this is not very different from when we did this with demand. We figured out total revenue. We took the price times the quantity. Total product is quantity. Okay. Now I do want you to put an asterisk next to the price and put a little reminder for you. Okay. Mrs. Stout will give the price. Okay. So I will always give the price. So in this case, I'm going to say that the price is 67 cents. Now I know it sounds like a very odd number, but it'll make sense in the end why it's 67 cents. But total revenue is price times total product. So I am telling you that I will always tell you what the price is. At the very end of this, the sub will give you a worksheet to practice this entire thing. At the top, will tell you what the price is. So just remember that you're using the price to find total revenue. So price times total product. So we're going to take 67 cents multiplied by this column right here. Oops, not that whole thing. Multiplied by this column right here. So when we're looking at this, okay, so at 0 workers, okay, at 0 workers, we didn't make anything, so we can't sell anything, so our total revenue is 0. At 2 workers, we're taking 2 times 67, so 2 times 67 cents is $1.34. At 5 workers, we're multiplying 5 times 67 cents, so 5 times 67 cents will give us $3.35. At 3 workers, we're multiplying 10 times 67 cents, so you get $6.70. Here's what I want you to do is I'm going to have the sub pause the video, and I want you to fill in the rest of this column, and it'll be magically filled in when you restart the video. You should have filled in the rest of the total revenue. So I think we left off with 6 workers. So 6 workers is $22.11. 7 workers is $26.80. 8 workers is $30.82. 9 workers is $34.17. 10 workers is $36.18. And 11 workers is $32.83. Okay, so that's total revenue. Next column we're going to do is marginal revenue. So if you remember, marginal revenue is how much extra I am going to make from selling one more airplane. So how much extra I'm going to make from selling one more airplane. So think about this. How much more am I going to get from selling one more airplane? Well, if I'm charging 67 cents every time I sell an airplane, then I will make, you guessed it, 67 cents. So, marginal revenue at the very bottom for the equations, you can put in marginal revenue is the same thing as price. Okay, so marginal revenue is the same thing as price. Now, when we go up here and we're filling it in for marginal revenue for the column, you can fill in the price except for at 0 workers, because just like marginal cost and marginal product, we didn't add anybody, we didn't change anything, so we can't fill anything in there. Okay. At the last one, we also cannot fill in. And the reason that is because we have a negative marginal product, okay? And so as a result, our marginal revenue would be a negative one, so we can't do that. So fill in all the other points, 67 cents, and I'm actually just going to go and copy and paste. Okay, so now you have 67 cents as a marginal revenue. All right, last column. Can you feel the end nearing? Profit or loss? Profit or loss? Are we making money or are we losing money? So think about this. If we're looking at whether or not we're making money or losing money, we have to look at how much we totally took in from selling our airplanes minus how much it costs just to make our airplanes. Okay, so total profit or loss, we're going to say the equation down here is P or L, profit or loss, is equal to total revenue minus total costs. Total revenue is how much we totally get from selling our airplanes, obviously hypothetically, minus how much it costs us to produce our airplanes. So we are going to be looking at these two columns right here. I'm going to highlight them. And so total cost and total revenue. So we're going to take total revenue minus total cost, and that will tell us whether or not we're making money or losing money. So at 0 workers, okay, we had 0 revenue because we didn't make anything, but we had a total cost of 12. And remember that we had a total cost of 12 because we had those fixed costs, those things like rent and paper that we had to pay for. So 0 minus 12 will get us a loss of $12. Okay? At 1 worker, we're going to be subtracting $1.34 minus 14. So again, we're at a loss, this time of $12.66. At 2 workers, we're going to subtract $3.35 minus $16. So again, we're going to get a loss of $12.65 this time. At 3 workers, we're going to subtract $6.70 minus 18. So you're going to get a loss of $11.30. Okay, now to pause the video again, and I want you to figure out the rest of the profit or loss. When the video restarts, they will magically be filled in. Okay, so now you should have the rest of the profit or loss filled in. So we left off on 4 workers. So you should fill in for 4 workers a loss of negative 928. For 5 workers, you should fill in a loss of negative 659. For 6 workers, you should fill in a loss of negative 189. For 7 workers, ooh, we're making a profit, 80 cents. 8 workers, $2.82 profit. 9 workers, $4.17 profit. 10 workers, $4.18 profit. And 11 workers is going to be a negative 117. Okay, so that is the last of the profit or loss column. Now, here's the kicker. All right, so what the heck is the point of this entire thing? Okay, we did this whole thing. Why did we do this? What can we get out of this? Okay, well, if you remember back to last week when I explained this whole thing to you, is that ultimately we were looking at what happens in the short run as we add 1 more worker. Is 1 more worker always going to increase our amount of product that we can produce? So we can ultimately answer that. We already decided that no. Okay. But here's what we can determine. The last two things in your notes was about the profit maximizing point and the break-even point. So break-even point we're going to start with. So the break-even point is going to be where the total revenue and total cost are exactly equal. Okay, so if you look in the profit or loss column, if they're exactly equal, you should see a point at the profit or loss column where it is exactly 0. Because if you did total revenue minus total cost, it would equal exactly 0. Now, as you look at the profit or loss column, you can definitely tell there is no point where they're exactly 0. So what do? Well, in this case, what you would do is that you look at where the profit or loss column goes from a negative number to a positive number. So between these two workers, between 6 and 7 workers, notice that it goes from a loss of $1.89 to a profit of 80 cents. Okay, I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to actually turn it red. That is going to be where our break-even point is. So somewhere in between those two workers, we have it being exactly 0. So somebody, I'm going to actually try and label this. So this is going to be our break even. I'm going to just say BE for break even point. Okay, so break even point is going to be between these two workers, 6 and 7 workers, okay? Because in between there we have where there exactly is 0. And so somebody always asks, okay, how can you have 6.5 workers? And some smart aleck will always reply, what about midgets? No, that's not how you say have a 6.5 workers. What about part-time? Okay, part-time, you are going to have a half of a worker. Okay, that's what it means. All right, so that's our break-even point. Now, the other thing we can tell is our profit maximizing point. So if you remember from your notes, your profit maximizing point is going to be where the profit is the highest and marginal cost and marginal revenue are the same. Now, in this specific example, we actually have a point where the profit is the highest, okay, only by a penny. But notice, okay, so here's our profit is the highest at 10 workers. But also notice that at 10 workers, our marginal cost is 67 and our marginal revenue is 67. This is where our profit maximizing point is. This tells us how many workers we should actually hire. Okay. In this particular example, I have a clear-cut case of the profit is the highest at 10 workers, and that's our profit max. There will be examples where you will look at, and you'll have 2 points where the profit profit is exactly the same. That's the highest. Okay. So what if this would both said 418? Okay, you have to look at where marginal cost and marginal revenue are the same. The reason that is if you think about it, in the short run, we can only change labor. Okay, in the short run, this 10th worker isn't costing me any more to hire that 10th worker, really, because whatever I'm paying them, they're making up for in whatever they're making, whatever products they're producing. So it doesn't hurt me to hire them. And in the long run, it will be better because when I want to grow and expand, that 10th worker is already with me. They already are trained, they know my product, so I don't have to train them anymore. Okay, so you can label this 10th worker as our profit maximizing point. So I'm actually going to go and insert a comment here. Okay, this is our profit maximizing point. Okay, so our profit maximizing point is going to be at 10 workers because our profit's the highest and our marginal cost and marginal revenue are the same. This tells us how many workers we should actually hire. Okay, so that's the most important part. All right, so we finished the entire thing. Now you will be getting a worksheet to practice the whole thing. So keep in mind that you need to work through it, help each other, use your calculator. When I come back in class tomorrow, I will give you all the answer key for it, and I will answer any questions that you have. All right, good luck.